Ashton, intro. Ready? Go ahead.
Welcome to Where's My Invite with Joe and Billy and Ashton today.
Billy and
Thanks
Joe,
for
actually.
Yeah, thank
Billy and
you.
Joe. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome to this week's episode of Where's My Invite with Billy and Joe. Thanks for listening.
Hi.
Okay, so let's start out with how we know Ashton.
Okay, Ashton, let's hear it from you. How
Oh,
about you
okay.
tell us?
So I'll tell you about Billy first because I knew he existed first.
Okay.
So it all started. I
I'm
was in
looking forward to
calculus
this.
2, and Billy sat to my left, I think, but I never talked to him. And he looked like a sad emo kid who just played Hearthstone on his tablet before class every
Okay,
day.
okay. I already have to intervene. Okay, this is wrong. Okay. We I didn't know Ashton was in my Calc 2 class because he didn't sit next to me. Okay, I sat in the second row. I sat behind Adam, who had no fucking clue what we were doing. Just he had slightly less of a clue than me. And Ashton apparently was in that class.
Oh, I know what it was. I didn't sit beside you. I sat I sat one bus to your right and back one. So you were to my front left. So I
I
sat.
don't I don't think I ever turned back in that class for any reason. Like I had no idea who was behind me. Okay, but continue. Let's hear
Yeah,
it.
and you just kind of sat up there, and I just saw you, and I was like, huh, neat. I can't remember. I don't think I ever spoke to you. And
Right.
I don't know the first time I talked because I don't think we had engineering lead. No, we didn't have engineering leadership together.
We did have engineering leadership together. Are you ready for this? We sat
Yeah.
next to each other for engineering leadership.
No, we did. Oh my god, we did.
We
Yeah.
did.
That's the first time. That's when I talked to you. You're right.
And we had
We
engineering leadership
it was
the
the
same
same
day.
semester. It was the
Yes.
same day. They were back to back.
Yeah,
Calculus
they
was
were.
8 a.m. and that was 9 a.m. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
There you go. But this is my normal trend is I give people what it seems like I give people a semester of not talking
Yeah.
to them before I speak to them the next semester. But yeah,
Yeah,
we
that
were in
tracks.
those two classes together.
Hmm.
Um, I think what my first kind of real memory of Ashen in engineering leadership. So for those that don't know, engineering leadership is kind of we're all in CS and it's one of the required courses. CS being computer science, and engineering leadership is basically one of the intro courses. It really has nothing to do with anything technical, but the idea is to sort of prepare you for the business aspect that you have to deal with in CS. So like how to there was some presentations like this is what you should order at lunch on your business meeting, and the professor would go like, "Don't order ribs."
I
And,
remember
and
that exact talk.
yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the class basically, and
It was absolutely useless.
yeah, so it was 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and every Friday I think we had the classic like message of like, oh, find some interesting technology article and report on it, and like you submitted. I don't know what it was. It's
You
probably
wrote
like we had to
blogs.
submit.
You wrote blogs on Moodle, and then you talked
Right.
about the blogs every Friday.
Yeah. Yes, and I remember the first person to report their blog was Ashton. And Ashton, this motherfucker, he picks like the best topic that no one will ever follow up on. He picks like, oh yeah, and this is how people's pacemakers can be hacked and die. And
I
it's like,
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, and so how is any? This is literally the first blog post, first discussion in class, and it's like super impressive because I can't even remember what my topic was, but it was some inane technology, whatever fact. Uh, and this guy immediately goes, and pretty much for the rest of the semester, the professor would reference like, "Oh yeah, what about if your pacemaker gets hacked?" Like the entire time. So that's my first encounter with Ashton.
Yeah. And then I really wish in that class I would have become closer friends with you because you know who adopted me in that class, don't you?
Who?
Cody Woods.
Oh my lord! I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot about that dynamic. You want to explain about Cody Woods?
Oh, he's a freak of nature. No, I love Cody. I don't really talk to him much anymore, but he's like the
Same.
most extra, like, try-hard person in the dumbest ways, like, who cares about, like, he once argued with the professor for over an hour about a project to get his grade raised from an 89 to a 90 because he just wanted to be able to say that he got an A.
Right.
Be like, that sums him up. That's all. And that and the other thing that you need to know about Cody that sums up everything is the time in algorithms. Our professor said that me and him and another and my girlfriend and that we didn't have to take the final. And Cody argued with him that since he already got up and came in for the final, he wanted to sit down and take it.
I remember this.
Yeah, so like that's all you need to know about Cody. Great guy, but man, he's something else.
Okay, so mine
Yeah.
and Ashton's first time meeting. I don't know if Ashton and I have the same point where we believe that we met. So, Ashton, when do you think we met
Oh, this is good.
for the first
Well,
time?
I remember. I remember two distinct times. I remember one time I was like walking. I saw you in the library. It was right around the time you interviewed, and I think I was with Cameron, and you were with Cameron. I'm like, hey, aren't you interviewing a DM me or something like that? Maybe I'm like, yeah, you interviewed. Or then one time I think I saw you when you were interviewing. That's all I remember.
So, I think this is my memory of it in the library. I was with Anna or Cameron.
Yeah.
We were in data structures that semester, and which is the semester I applied to DMME. We were talking about DMME, and you were talking about how you don't work on the weekends, and I was like, ugh, lucky, because I was managing the brewery, and I fucking hated that because I worked every fucking weekend. And so then we started talking about data structures, and you went, that class is easy. And we were like, no, it's not. And
Who did you all have data structures with?
Hatch.
Okay. And Ashton, who did you have it with?
Had it with
Hatch as well?
Dr. Way.
Okay. We all had
Man,
different processing.
that class was not pleasant.
I had Ira with data
but-
structures.
You didn't
He
have
was
that class
like-
then.
He was like, I made like a 99 on the test in there. And I was like, okay, this fucking guy, fucking nerd, kind of a dick. And so then the next time I met him, I had already applied to DMME, and I was interviewing the next day, I think. And I saw Ashton, and I was like, hey, what kind of things should I know for the DMME interview? And Ashton was like, oh, like, it's not technical. They're just going to ask you these questions and whatever else. And so I got the job at DMME, and then me and Ashton shared a cubicle.
Which, by the way, I'm
Oh,
so
I didn't know
salty.
that.
I'm still salty about that,
Why?
actually.
Why?
Oh, I don't know if I think I told you. So what happens is, I was sat in the double cubicle. It was me and Victoria when I was hired on, obviously,
Right.
right? Like we started together. Well, she quit, thank God, and I was alone. And I'm like, whenever you and Anna were supposed to start, I'm like, hey, should I move to either the front cubicle or the back cubicle so those two can sit together? And Dave's like, and everyone's like, nah, Dave said he wants you all seated separately, so one of you will be at the front, you'll be alone in the middle so you don't have to move, and one of them will be in the back. And I
Yeah.
said, oh, nice. I'm alone, that's nice. And then they come in, and they sit you next to me, even though
Yeah.
they just said I'd be alone.
Yeah.
Given I ended up enjoying sitting with you, but I didn't really know you at the time, and
Right. Yeah, we
Dude.
had some good times in that cubicle.
yeah, we did.
Uh,
we did.
And, to preface this little snippet I'm about to tell, let's address the elephant in the room. Ashton, your friends say that you have a British accent.
Uh-oh.
It's obviously not British. I
Some
don't...
would disagree. Some
Do
would
you-
say
I-
it's obviously British.
They've always said British accent, and I'm like, how does that sound British? It does not sound British at all. Have they ever heard an English person speak?
It's true. I
They
have not.
say oi and bruv a lot. But anyway, so I only say that because of this story. This is one of my favorite fucking stories at Demon Me. Me and Aaron and Ashton are just kind of chilling in mine and Ashton's cubicle. I hope you remember this, Ashton.
Aaron is your boss, correct?
Aaron was our boss. Yeah,
He is not our boss now. We do not.
correct.
Was.
And me and Aaron are talking about something, and so then we talk about the word rural, rural.
Okay.
And so me and Aaron are just going rural, rural, and I fucking hate that word. I can barely say that fucking word, and so we're doing
Really?
that for a couple minutes, and then we just look at Ashton for him to try to say it, and he just goes, "I know my limits," and won't fucking say it.
All right, Ashton, let's hear it.
All right, got a quip. Whoa.
Oh,
That's about how I fucking say it. I can't say rural.
You know,
I could have said it before if you two motherfuckers didn't plant this bad seed in my.
You know, I remembered that story, except I didn't remember word for word what I said, but you're right. I said exactly, I know my limits, and I just turned around.
Yeah.
What does it say about us that we get a guy with the British condition as our first guest on our podcast?
It's very intentional. No, but that was one of my favorite fucking stories. And Billy, did you know Anna?
I did.
She's awesome. I love Anna. She's so cool and very smart. She was trying to get me a job where she currently works, and I actually just got a call like 3 days ago from them that were like, "Hey, we lost your application, but we definitely want to hire you." And I was like, "Well, fucking too late on that." But
hasn't it
that
been
happened to me too?
2 months ago or something?
Yeah, at least 2 months.
Right.
And so anyway, Anna's awesome. And I'm not saying any last names as to protect her privacy, but she's dating a 56-year-old man. And man, like, me and Ashton, we worked with her. Not a fucking day went by when we didn't make fun of her for that.
Okay.
Dude, I'll never forget when she told us. You two came over to our cube laughing, and I was just staring after you told me. I said, is this it? Are you kidding? Like, is this a joke? And like, everyone's dead, like stone faced.
Yeah, so whenever Ashton, I already knew at the time, but it was just like a week or so into working at Demon Me, and Ashton asked her what her boyfriend's name was, and she said Frank, and he went, "Oh, that's like an old man's name." And I tried so hard to not laugh. And so after like a couple days later, me and her are talking about it, and she told me like our first day or something at Demon Me together because we went and got lunch afterwards. So whenever we go in to tell Ashton, I'm just fucking dying laughing. And she tells him, and he just stops and kind of looks at her and then looks at me and looks at her. And he's like, "You're kidding." And she's like, "No." And Ashton just can't fucking believe it that she's dating a 56-year-old man. By the way, at the time she was like 20, just for context. And I mean, they seem to have a healthy relationship together, and they're both consenting adults. So I really don't care, but man, it's so much fun to make fun of her for.
Oh god.
And they would always do old man shit.
What, did they go golfing or?
He was a golfer.
Okay, classic.
But they would go out on his boat. Which it's nice.
enough.
I would go out on a boat if I had it. They always went to the Mexican restaurant. He was kind of a redneck too, by the way.
Big surprise for the area.
What, being a redneck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
big surprise.
Yeah, there's like no rednecks around here.
Right.
But one of the funniest things is that we always made fun of like him having false hips. He doesn't, but we always made fun of that. Actually, he might now. Didn't he have to have hip surgery?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, so he had to have hip surgery at one point, but she had some kind of heart problem.
Mhm. I was about to mention that she ended up having like a bad heart, and we were talking about how like it was meant to be, and like
Oh my god.
Yeah. But it was so fucking funny. And we'd always joke about wanting to fuck Daddy Frank.
Oh my lord.
And she thought it was fucking hilarious. She was such a team player about all of this. I miss Anna. It was fun
Anyone
working with
else, and we
her.
would have had so many HR complaints. Because you guys, you have to remember, this is all at work. Like,
Yeah, it is. Oh my god. But like, and you know, I don't think Aaron would have been cool with it if she wasn't.
mhm.
Well, he wouldn't have been cool with it if she wasn't. But he, you know, she was cool with it. She thought it was hilarious. And so he thought it was hilarious. And yeah, as far as I know, they're still together. He hasn't passed away yet. As much as
What?
I figured he
Okay, if
would.
you had to bet, what is he passing away from?
Uh, probably
Bad
falling.
hips.
Yeah, falling because of his hips, I would guess.
Okay, and Ashton, your prediction?
Dude, I mean, honestly, anything can get you at that age, you know?
That's true. I mean,
Fwank's just gonna be like another statistic, you know?
they're
Like,
heavy drinkers, I
Am I-
believe.
Am I
yeah,
wrong?
I mean, that he's probably gonna like just like get way too drunk on the way out of that Mexican restaurant one day and just fall. I guarantee they have like a little ramp out front, a couple like little stairs to the curb, and that's gonna be game over.
Oh, you know, she said that she always has to carry her ID on her because people will think that she looks young.
Oh yeah, that's another thing with that. Why it's not like
Right.
Anna looks like old for her age or
Right.
like her age. She looked about she looks about 14.
Right. She
Like-
looks 14, and so it makes it kind of, well, really fucking weird. But people in public always seem to think that, like, he had kidnapped her. And so she, you know, because she looked underage, and they'd be holding hands and shit. And so
see.
she always had her ID on her to prove that she was 20.
I thought you were gonna go with the father-daughter aspect.
No,
of that.
a lot of people thought that too, but she didn't really need her ID for that. She said that they'd be like, actually, we're dating, and people would be like, ugh. But some people would always think that he had like kidnapped her.
No,
So she always had her ID.
I never realized that she was a cool person, and I never really spoke to her at all.
Yeah, and it was really
but
cool.
I had a friend who asked her out, I think, and apparently he didn't realize. I thought she's engaged. Apparently, she
yeah,
has a
it
ring
was.
on her finger.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're engaged.
Okay, so they
Yeah,
are
they-
engaged.
yeah.
But yeah, I just remember him completely striking out because the thing is about the major is there's probably one girl per graduating class, two,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
and
maybe.
as soon as I had her in my technical writing class.
Hmm.
Basically, it just a pretty useless class for us, but the idea is to be able to write emails. Basically, that's what the use for us would be. And she was in that class, and I think she had just transferred in, and he immediately, first woman he sees, he asks her out, and he
Yeah.
gets immediately shot down.
There
He's
really
like,
were
"Okay."
not very many women in that department.
No, and
Like 5, probably.
right, yeah. There's hardly fucking any, and I mean, you know, it's CS. It's heavily male populated.
And awkward male.
Yeah, awkward
populated
males.
at that.
But there's something I was gonna say about Anna. I'll cut this part of me thinking out. But
Please don't cut it. Just
there's something about Anna that I was gonna bring up.
blonde.
She is
short,
blonde, yes.
Quiet.
She's short.
She walks like
quiet.
a ninja and would always sneak up and start on
Walks
you.
Yeah,
like a ninja?
she would always sneak up on us and scare the fuck out of us. She would just be
fuck?
standing behind us in the cubicle, and one of us would jump
It was literally like physical, like a jump scare. Like we would legitimately jump.
because
yeah.
we're just listening to our music programming, and then I hear a tiny shuffle behind me and see her and jump.
Okay, so while you're thinking of this, I actually also, I don't know if you know this joke, but Ashton definitely knows. I also interviewed for this job,
Yeah,
and it is a sore spot for me because I didn't get it.
If you want to feel better, this is exactly what happens. Okay, so
Okay,
you
yeah, go
didn't get it
ahead.
the first time, which was a shame. You should have gotten it over Victoria. Obviously not over the top dog, me. I mean, we know that's not happening.
Right.
I think that's fair. But
Yeah,
were
that's
you
fair.
even at the college at the point?
Well, yeah, I didn't just materialize.
Okay, okay, relax, relax.
Wait, what do you mean was I at the college at the point? Billy, that was
Because
after we had
I
engineering
interviewed.
leadership
Was
together.
it? Okay, relax, relax.
Yeah, but no,
I
that
don't
was after
remember
my
that.
freshman year.
Okay, it was after your first.
And then but I think it was like really a toss up. Like between the three of us, me, you, and Victoria. You just
Well, I
got
guess you
unlucky.
drew the short straw.
Yeah, and then do you know how? And the second time when we went to bring Joe and Anna, and right, like when they got hired, here's exactly
Hmm.
what the interaction is between me and Erwin. Erwin's like, I really want to bring Billy back in. He's like, he was really good the first time. He keeps getting recommended, and he's a, and I'd really like to bring him in. But everyone's like, but I don't want to bring him in for a second interview unless I'm guaranteeing that I'm hiring him.
Well, you were still people short, like when Victoria quit.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened was Victoria quit, and so we were one down because they had two. They didn't. They only had room for two when me and Victoria came on. So that's why you just got you just got shafted.
Right.
And then whenever we brought in Joe and Anna, we needed two more people. Well, actually, it was they didn't know if we were gonna only have one more or two more. And
Right.
Joe and Anna come in an interview, and Elwin said that essentially he really would have liked to bring you back in, but he didn't want to interview you again unless he was pretty much positive he was going to hire you. So he wanted to see how it worked out, like with the interview of the four people we brought in.
Right.
Um,
The new
yeah,
ones, the newbies.
and then
Which is
so
fair. It's totally
yeah,
fair.
which is fast. So, but it ended, and I think what happened is if between them they wouldn't have wanted anyone, they would have brought you in. But it's really a shame. But in all honesty, they really liked Anna, and they had to hire Joe. That career well on the line if they didn't. So,
I forgot
Okay,
about
wait.
that.
What is this? Okay, wait
did
a
you not
minute.
know about that?
I
Has Joe
I
forgot
never?
don't.
about that.
Do you want to know like what edge Joe had coming into that interview?
What air?
So what
What
edge?
edge?
So
Okay.
the director of DMME, the head honcho in Big Stone Gap, like he's technically there's one guy above him in Richmond, but he's like a figurehead. Butch was the big dog, and
Okay.
Butch loved eating at the brewery.
Oh no.
And Butch, before the interviews, comes into like Elwin, and he's like, "This Joe Bailey kid is coming in to interview, and you should really consider hiring him."
Okay. Now,
And
Joe, this
Elwin
isn't.
and Elwin comes up to me, and Elwin's like, "Man, you should just heard what Butch said." He's like, "I really hope we like this show, kid."
I don't think this is completely true.
No, I'm like, no show.
No. Okay. Well, let me add it. Now, Joe, you're a great guy, but I would have guessed somebody else other than you would have gotten the DMME.
Oh, dude, Joe
So this makes
killed that.
sense
He
to me.
killed that interview.
Okay.
bro.
Okay.
But
Were
he
you in the
totally
interview, Ashton?
no. But I was working at the time, and I heard him laughing and giggling in the conference room.
Okay.
And yeah, it was. But I remember
Because
because
it is a personality interview.
yeah, there's no technical aptitude, or Joe would have been
Mhm.
kicked out the window. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I killed the interview, to be honest.
Right.
And Butch being on my side really helped. But
I'd like to imagine the game plan before they all gather together. Like, listen, Butch loves this kid. Laugh at everything he says, and Joe comes out like, "Man, I killed it." It was all, but no, Joe. It was a personality interview, and Joe kills those. I mean,
Okay,
he
so
just lucked
Ashton,
out.
do you remember if you interviewed before or after Victoria?
I was like the first one. I was the second one. I interviewed after Victoria.
Did you? Okay, I interviewed. I know Victoria signed in the day I interviewed.
Wait, so
I
you
think she
also interviewed? Like, yeah.
I interviewed in the afternoon, and it was. I remember it was a rainy day, and I wore like a suit, which I thought was stupid because it was a tech job. So like, why would I wear a suit? Well,
Yeah.
like I didn't have a tie or anything, but I had like the
Oh, okay, yeah.
blazer, and I remember during the interview, like they loved me. I felt,
Mhm.
but I got the sense that they still weren't going to hire me
Yeah.
because I remember in the interview. Okay, let me just brag. Okay, even though I didn't get the job, they were like, "Oh,
Let
this
me
is the
brag
best."
the two people who worked that.
Yeah. Aaron said, he's like, "Wow, you have the best resume we've ever seen for someone who applied here." But I still remember, I was like, I remember getting in the car because my parents were there, and there I was like, Yeah, I'm probably not going to get the job. It's probably going to. The sense I got was that they were really trying to give the job to people who had like not like had no other opportunity, but like local people. Uh, and it was like literally pretty much the only tech job in the area.
Yeah, it is. And you're actually white. Everyone thought you were a bit overqualified based on
Right.
your resume.
I had at that point I had already interned twice,
Yeah.
and they weren't like any technical. It would have actually been the real like that would have been my first sort of real job in the industry. Uh,
I mean, it was mine. I came from a grocery store manager title, so.
and
Yeah, it was mine too.
that's hard to compete with in terms of needing the job. The grocery store guy, the manager at the brewery
Hey, I was a
versus I had two
manager at the
technical.
grocery store, dude.
Okay,
Give me some
excuse me.
clout. Give me
Yeah.
some clout.
Also,
Food city management.
I want to clear something up.
Okay.
It wasn't just that Butch liked eating at the brewery. Okay.
Okay.
He was also the brother to one of my really good family friends.
Oh, so this is worse. You didn't help yourself.
A lady that actually, kind of family friend, but our really close family friend is best friends with his sister. And she put a good word in to his sister, who also works there.
Regina. I remember.
Regina.
Yeah.
And she already knew me, and Regina loved me. But so she told Butch, and Butch is like, "Oh yeah, that's the son of the brewery owners."
I also got the sense that it was hiring one male candidate and one female candidate, which you guys can tell me if that's wrong or not.
Well, I don't know how it was when I was hired. I wasn't exactly in the hiring deliberations, when they
Right.
hired me. But with Joe and Anna, I don't think it was necessarily the case. I think it was just they were the
We were
top
just
two.
the
I don't know
fucking
about
best.
I don't know about me and Victoria. I mean, in an ideal world, it would have been me and Billy, and that would have been the world because then Joe never would have gotten hired because Billy wouldn't have quit. After 3 months.
But Billy. No offense, Billy, but you
Okay.
would not. It would not have been the same dynamic that we had, me, Ashton, and
Well, it would
Anna.
have been better.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I don't
okay.
know.
It's fair to say I don't know.
Hey, you're not the only one in our group who didn't get the DMME job who interviewed for it, though. So,
Oh no, that's fair. That's
Cameron
fine.
did as well.
Yes, and
Cameron, he was not happy with me whenever I said that I got the job.
Yeah, that was awful, but it was a hard decision. Because it was the other person who also interviewed was Colin Michael Fields.
Yeah,
so
I was about to say he's really fucking good too. And,
yeah, but he doesn't have his personality interview. I don't think went as great.
He's a little bit more of an acquired
Yeah,
taste.
and he didn't have as in the issue. I think a big issue is why Joe had Butch's recommendation, Cameron had mine. He was just in an unfortunate spot. And then there was one guy who came in to interview. I think his name was Daniel, and he was interviewing, but it was his last semester of college.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to keep going back to this. It's not the Butch thing. I mean per episode.
Oh God.
I mean per episode. I don't want to keep going back to this every fucking episode. But Ashton, you're the one who recommended it to me. Did you cry at the end of The Good Place?
Almost. I teared up a little.
Almost. That's good enough for me.
Okay,
Billy's a fucking monster. He didn't even fucking bat an eye, man.
I mean, it was a touching moment, but at the ending was like okay, like not for cry worthy, but the real sad part was Jason, and somehow our first guest did not listen to our previous episode.
I didn't know. I follow you on Spotify. I didn't get a notification. No one told me.
Oh, that's convenient. Blame Spotify. Anyway, I said the best character was Jason Mendoza.
I said he's the funniest. Cheaty's the best.
Okay, and Ashton?
Cheaty.
Oh. Fuck yeah, Ashton.
How are you guys 0 for 2 between the two of you?
Yeah, Cheaty's the best. I think Jason's the funniest. Actually, I'm rewatching it again right now just because I feel like I could use a good cry at the end.
Okay. You're planning your cries?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm rewatching it right now, and there's actually someone, I don't remember who now. I should, but I don't remember who I think is a little bit funnier than Jason.
Stop. Are you talking about Donkey Doug?
No, not Donkey Doug.
Are you
No,
talking
no,
about
no, no.
the only other person who I
Sean?
could consider is
No, not Sean's good too, but he's not that funny.
And who?
As
Derek.
funny.
Is Derek the robot Janet creates? That's the only one I can think
Derek.
of.
Yes. Fucking Derek. He
Really?
is so funny.
He is very funny, but he's not Jason. Okay.
Dude,
I
whenever
think Derek's funny, but he's a bit like over the top and like over
that's
the top
why
for
it's
me.
so good.
That's very
Like,
Derek
dude,
of
whenever
you, Joe.
he's sniffing the martini glass full of Scrabble pieces.
See, but I feel like with Derek, at some points it got a little like 2010, like random equal funny, like iCarly
There you go,
vibes.
you're
Yeah,
right.
on it.
that's kind of
You're right.
true. That's kind of true.
No, tell him,
I
Ashton.
just did a.
Tell
I
him
just
it's.
did,
Tell him
listen.
it's Jason.
I just did a full rewatch of iCarly, so like I'm kind of an expert
Oh my
on it right
God.
now.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Okay,
we
moving on.
mentioned. Let's talk about the Tiger King.
Yeah,
As Joe
Tiger
says,
King.
the Tiger King, not Tiger.
The Tiger King. He's the Tiger King. He's the
Do
king
you
of
say?
tigers.
Well, I'm talking about the show. The show.
Right.
Do you say the Tiger King? It's like technically it is the
Okay.
Batman.
Listen, in my mind, every time I think of the show Tiger King, I think of Joe Exotic, who is the Tiger King. And so I just
Okay.
say the Tiger King.
And Ashton, the
I just
show
say-
is
I just say Tiger King.
right. Okay, like a normal person who watched it at the beginning of quarantine.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the difference here is that I didn't watch it at the beginning of quarantine.
Yeah, fake you normie, fake Tiger King fan.
Fake fan wasn't like in a really weird worldwide place, but wasn't it kind of a normie for us to watch it then, right? Because like we bought into all the hype.
Right. Yeah. I didn't buy
did-
into that hype.
it
Did
was
I
worth
just
the
literally
hype.
only watched it because Billy told me to for this episode.
Listen,
Right.
my life was falling apart at that piece at that plate. Oh my god, that time! Why
Hello?
did I go for the
There
P
you
word?
go.
My life was falling apart, dude. UVA Wise is like, yeah, get out of here, dude.
Okay, yeah, your life was falling apart. I also say I had 8 classes that semester.
Whose stupid
wanna
idea
talk
was it to
about
double
falling-
major, Billy?
Yeah.
My idea.
Let me
uh,
double major in the same thing.
That was
Like,
pretty
you-
much the only thing. Well, that was why I did it. I was like, it was literally like the difference was 2 classes,
Oh,
where I could have stayed an extra semester and picked up like a math minor.
Billy's like, yeah, it was just 2 classes. I just had an 8-class semester. Meanwhile, my last semester, I only had 13 hours.
I waited to declare. I didn't even declare the second major until my senior year fall. So basically, when I was making my schedule for the spring, I could have done 4 classes or I could have done 8. And I always figured, might as well do the extra CS degree anyway, because my real major was software engineering, and everyone just says I have a CS degree anyway. So I should have just picked the one.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
why I said don't double major, because it's like, what's the point? You have the same thing on your resume twice.
Okay, back to Tiger King. Tiger King.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Tiger King.
You can cut. that.
My first impressions watching the show. First off, Joe Exotic, amazing guy.
Okay,
He is so much like the guy who cuts my hair.
stop.
Like, I mean,
Owns
you know,
tigers,
the guy who
like-
cuts
That
my hair.
explains a lot.
He doesn't own fucking tigers, and he's not a gun toting, mullet sporting, whatever they say Joe Exotic
Is he at least gay?
He's very gay.
Okay.
And he looks a lot like Joe Exotic. I mean, and he talks just
And you
like
get your
him.
hair cut from that guy?
Yeah. He's
Okay.
amazing. Anyway,
kind of whiskey. How did you end up in the scenario where you tried that? I'd walk
And you
in.
go back repeatedly.
so all throughout the show, I did love Joe Exotic. Obviously, he didn't actually give a fuck about the cats. And the saddest thing about the whole show was the cats. I felt so bad for the cats throughout the entire docuseries.
Oh, yeah,
or
of
whatever the fuck it's
course.
called. I hated from the moment I saw her,
Yep.
Carol Baskin. She seemed like such a cunt. And I don't use that word lightly in this case.
Yes, you do. Stop. We know
In
you
this
use that
case.
word.
No,
frequently.
listen to me.
Okay.
I said in this case, I do not use that word lightly. I use it lightly all the time, but in this case, I do not. She was a cunt, and I hated her. She didn't give a fuck about her cats. They were in just as bad conditions as Joe Exotic's cats. But throughout the whole thing, I stand by this. I would like to have a beer with Joe Exotic and just talk to him. I wouldn't let him take me home because then I couldn't leave.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't think he's gonna rope you in, D?
Right? No, then I couldn't leave. But
I
I
mean,
have.
I'm pretty sure there's an opening. Isn't his current like boyfriend, husband, like aren't they getting divorced or something along those lines?
Are they?
It
I think
depends
so.
which one you're talking. He has a new husband at the end of the series. The one that visits him in jail. The other one's well, the one killed himself,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
and then the other two, one kind of
The first one
escapes.
knocks.
The
yeah.
one
The
with
current one,
good
Joe
teeth
Exotic
eventually.
and Dylan Passage's marriage is coming to an end. They're seeking a divorce
This is
after 3 years of marriage.
Oh
first.
well.
First, he gets in prison. Then, that bitch killed Baskin, and then Trump doesn't pardon him. Tragedy.
You remember
And
the
now he's
limo
breaking up
waiting? You remember how he had the limo
the
waiting
limo.
outside jail?
Yes, back into to the prison. Okay, well here's another question. Did Carol Baskin kill
Yes,
her husband?
that's what I was about to ask. Yes, she did 100%.
No, not
She
necessarily.
didn't.
Not
Okay,
necessarily.
I've done the research. There's a lot of shady stuff surrounding it, but he may have just been into the drug trade.
so I mentioned last time when I brought Tiger King up that as you go along, it's just kind of every person you see is a crazy person, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll all talk. They'll like it's. I really love how they do this. They'll talk about someone else, and everyone kind of piles on how crazy that person is. So like the Carol Baskin episode, everyone shits on Carol Baskin. Like, and then there's I forget the guy's name, but he's sort of like the third neutral party, and he also says Carol Baskin is like
Yeah.
crazy. And then when they talk about him, he has like this sex cult of all
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
trainers. It's like
Yeah.
this is the voice of reason, right? Like that's what was so awesome about that.
You know, Autumn told me, and you said this as well, that it just keeps getting crazier and crazier as it goes. I At the end, I was like, I feel like I missed something. Like it wasn't that crazy. Maybe I've just been desensitized, but I didn't think it was that insane. Like, sure, there was that Jeff Lowe guy who came in as an investor and basically stole the zoo from Joe. He was nuts.
Sure,
Him
there
and
was
his wife were
sure there
swingers.
was Jeff Lowe, the swinger investigator who stole a zoo. There was Carol Baskin who allegedly murdered her husband. There was Joe Exotic, enough said, who
Yeah.
there was
Right.
the murder for hire of Carol Baskin. There was
Uh-huh.
the crazy sex cult tiger owner. Like there was the time we
Yeah.
got a glimpse at the guy who had the tigers and like the big drug wing and like
All right.
whatever. Like Joe, what else were you expecting out
How
of the
about
show?
I
that
don't know.
producer, the guy with the awesome voice who
Oh,
had
that
like a
like
cowboy hat
yeah,
and like a cigar,
Oh,
and
I
they
loved
like
him.
burnt down his shack or something with like
yeah.
crocodile footage or
With
something.
crocodile, yeah. Like
Loved him.
Joe, I want to know what you were expecting
I
out of
don't
the
know.
show.
I think I've just been desensitized to
How
weird
can you be
shit.
desensitized to that?
I don't know. I've seen.
What could desensitize you to that? Well, how about this?
Uh,
How about this segue into QAnon?
okay.
Uh, so I watched it,
Mhm.
and there's this. Ashton, what do you know about QAnon first? How about we start there?
Cole, the whole oh, what's the Trump comes down on the like cabal of cannibal
Yeah.
pedophiles, the storm. Really, I bits and pieces. It's really a neat thing. Pizzagate was probably tied to it, I think.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is that. I remember one time I saw I found a QAnon website.
What was that called? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It was just some person's blog or something,
Okay.
and they had a list of every single person like every single person and like what's going on with them, and like they had the whole cast of friends was at like Guantanamo Bay. Like it was just, ooh, it was rough. Tom Hanks was executed. Like it was. I wish I could find that list again. Actually, it was beautiful.
So, Joe, how about you fill in the gaps from what Ashton said? Anything Ashton's missing that you would say?
I mean, I think he has it down pretty well. I think the biggest thing is that Illuminati type demon worshipping cabal of child rapists, and my parents 100% buy into it. Like it's honestly insane, and they've stopped recently. Thank fuck. But
Why is that?
me and Maybe that because Trump lost, and now it's just kind of starting to phase out a little bit.
Is it because he lost, or because they pretty much all got deplatformed from whatever they were using? Pretty much.
Yes, that's true too. But like, Dad goes on all these QAnon websites to get his
Okay.
information now. But maybe it's just that my mother told Dad to stop because she saw how like annoyed we got with it. But like every Sunday and Monday night, my wife and I eat dinner at my parents' house, and so every Sunday and Monday night, Dad would be like, "Did you hear about the Pope getting arrested?" And I'm like, "No, do tell." And he's like, "The Pope got arrested." I'm like, "Is that all the information you have about that?" And he said, "For child sex ring." I was like, "You know, I can't say that I would doubt that, but what? Why do you think he got arrested?" He said Trump flew out and arrested him. I was like, "Okay, why do you think Trump flew out and arrested him?" He was like, "Saw it online." I was like, "All right, well." And he was like, "That's why the power went out all over the world. They were making arrests." And then, like a couple weeks later, I was like, "Do you see that the Pope is not in jail?" He's like, "Yeah, they let him out of jail." And I was like, "No, oh
Well,
my
it's like
god!"
these. It's like they completely forget about like like sovereign nations, right? With all this
Right,
conspiracy theory stuff. Like, how would the U.S. arrest the Pope? You had all the like the election queue stuff, right? With the servers in Germany, and
right.
why would there be servers in the first place? Why would they be in Germany? Like the election stuff, all the theories about like the servers and all that, from a CS person standpoint, was literal cringe.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
and
Yeah.
my dad one time, uh, we were talking. It was like some dinner party at my parents' house, and we went because they were serving German food or some shit, and so we went over there, and my family friend Carrie, who's friends with Uncle Iro, by the way, it's the same one.
Okay.
Uh, she was talking about something, and Dad just kind of went, "You know what the most expensive drug on the market is?"
What?
And I don't remember the name, but I'll tell you
Oh.
what it's made of
oh
and
no.
how they procure it.
Okay.
In the child sex ring,
Mhm.
Classic.
they. I'm cringing just repeating this back. They scare the children. They go, "Bleh!" And then they extract blood from them because that puts adrenaline in the blood. I don't know.
I
And
Okay.
actually think I've heard that before.
then they sell it for like
No.
$2,000 for a vial of it,
I
and
think
it's
I've heard
supposed to
this.
make you young forever.
I'm pretty sure I've heard the
Ah.
same conspiracy theory about like children blood adrenaline. I didn't hear
And
like the vampire scaring them with blam blah blam.
right, and me and Autumn just kind of looked at each other, and Carrie went, "I don't think that's true," and Dad went, "No, ask Joe," and I went, "What? Why do you think I
Okay.
know
Well, what's
anything
your
about
evidence,
this?"
bro? Yeah. Let's
And
hear it.
I was like, why ask me? And he said, "You know all about the dark web." I was like, "I don't know all about the dark web." I said, "I've been on there a few times, but it's kind of boring for the most part." And he was like, "That's how you buy it." And I was like, "Okay, but don't involve me in this crazy shit. I can't vouch for that." But dad is the one that's hardcore into it. I think mom is just married to him, and so she's like, "Yeah, QAnon." But Dad
Um,
ordered shoes. I told you last episode, Billy.
right.
Dad ordered shoes that have the number 17 on them and WWG 1 WW or
G.
WGA.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And do you know what that is, Ashton?
No.
Where we go one, we go all.
Oh yeah.
And 17 is the 17th, or 17 is like Q is the 17th letter of the
Yeah, I knew
alphabet.
the 17 bit.
Right. And
Okay.
so, they're always like looking for clues in these Trump videos. And they're like, "Oh, there were 17 fucking birds in the background." So that means QAnon is trying to tell us something.
I cannot believe. Actually, I can actually believe that your dad's a hardcore
Yeah.
Q-tard now.
Ashton,
But
do you have any people that you deal with that do you argue with anyone about this and like try to do you fight the fight of the Sisyphean fight of rolling that boulder of proving QAnon is stupid
see,
and
honestly, no, I don't have to deal with that. None of my
no
family, like, I only really talk to my direct family, and none of them are like that. So life's good.
shame.
I know.
Lucky.
The Do you get hit with the buzzwords, Joe? Uh, no, I don't think so. And that's sort of the end of the argument. That's sort of the trump card of the argument.
Yeah.
And also, do your research. That's the
Yes.
worst when they say do
Dude,
your research. It's
no, the
stop.
worst is whenever mom and dad are getting heated at me and Autumn because we're like, I don't think that's true. And then mom's like, Joe, if you weren't such a sheep, and I'm like, okay, fuck you. You are literally calling me a sheep when you believe in this mythical guy who has Q level clearance in the government and is just spilling all these secrets that aren't even true. None of them actually come true. The only ones that do is like, watch out for sometime next month, something's gonna happen, and then anything happens, and they're like, QAnon was right.
So
Hey, yeah, why did QAnon shift the goalpost to? Why? Because I remember originally it was, inauguration day. And then I remember it was like March for original inauguration day.
Right.
Like, I don't even know where we're at now.
So-
Yeah, they just kept shifting it, and eventually, I think they just hoped that it would phase out.
So so since I just recently watched the documentary, it started on 8chan, of course,
Naturally.
and they go into the people behind these websites, and there's a plot where the guy with the bone, like the disease where he can't, his like bones didn't
Yeah.
form properly, he has to literally escape the Philippines
Yeah.
before he gets sent to jail
Yeah.
for 6 years
Yeah.
for calling someone senile. It's all in there. It's an interesting documentary at points, but it's kind of all over the place.
It is. I think I mainly liked it because I have to deal with crazy QAnon people.
Okay.
But like, did you think that Ron Watson guy is Q?
Sure. So he's one of the guys, but he's the guy. They go through it in the documentary pretty well, where he's the main admin for HN Ashton, and what they do is like, and they have to define all these terms for us. So they're like, this is what a normie is, and this is what a LARP is, and like it definitely starts as a bunch of random people. It was like on 4chan, I think.
Yeah,
it started.
I've kind of seen like the start of it and like that dude becoming it on like the sole one of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they like post, like all these random people are posting this random shit because it's funny. Like at first, like when you see them, like I don't know if either of you have been on like the Donald when it first came out. Like I always thought it was people like unironically or ironically, like typing and like talking like that. But it's really surprising, like how people go crazy over it. So they have like he'll post this like super cryptic thing, like terribly written and all that, and like it has to be, of course, terribly written and cryptic, so the government doesn't get or
Right.
whatever. And then they do these digs where they're trying to like it's literally conspiracy, I guess, thinking, where they go like, okay, let me connect this and this, and then
Right.
like Joe said, it's just the random shit. Like, and he posts like in theory they post like often enough, and then there's a whole plot on how the guy that the admin of like
8chan.
Joe mentioned, Ron,
Right.
he's the real Q, and then there's the subplot of how it's actually Steve Bannon, and actually it's Rod's dad who was the guy.
Yeah, explores all these options, and then it eventually settles on this Ron guy. And there's just a few little things that make me genuinely think it's him.
Okay.
First of all, he's a big weeb, and
Oh
I
my
think
God.
weebs are notorious. Male weebs are notorious for being big conservatives, at least from what I've experienced. But
If it's you.
he said that at one point they're eating, and he's like, QAnon, he's doing this because of this, and then he stops and goes, I mean, I don't know, maybe I don't really follow QAnon. I barely even know anything about him, and like, what's that sudden switch? And at one point, he's telling the documentary guy, QAnon is trying to take the offense. And then QAnon posts the next day, and he's like, "We're taking the offense."
Yeah, there's
And
like
shit like that.
what do you think QAnon is doing here, Ron? He's like, well, to me, it sounds like perhaps by chance
Maybe.
he's starting his second act and now going on the offensive against all these
Right.
other people, and it's like, and then the next day it's like exactly as Joe says. Another thing that got mentioned was Gamergate.
Oh
Ashton, were
god.
you on 4chan supporting Gamergate
I
and
mean, who
hating on
wasn't?
feminists?
I mean, everyone needed to be on Gamergate, right? Gamers wise up. We're the most oppressed people.
They talk about how it's like, oh yeah, gamers were the first people to rise up against social justice warriors, and they were the first line of defense. And if what happens to the gamers, then no one else will be able to stop them.
Yeah. Cringe.
There, it's the guy is very weird. There's a
Yeah,
moment
he's
that
so
stood out
weird.
to me in the documentary where it's like this guy is constantly watching porn, and you're like, okay, what a like statement to make. And then like it shows him driving his car. He's in Japan, or well, at first it shows him like, oh yeah, this is the new sex doll I got, and
Yeah.
isn't she beautiful? And then he goes,
Ooh.
then the next cut is so the next cut is like he's about to drive off and the cameraman's in the back, and there's literally like you know how you're, I don't know if you have a nice car, but cars with like the videos and stuff, like video cameras and stuff, he had porn. Literally it was like some porn was on it, and then it cuts back to the girl, and then it cuts to another thing. He's like the filmmaker, he goes, to infiltrate their inner circle, I decided to go to Soapland with them.
I forgot about Soapland.
At Soapland, if you don't know, Soapland is where all these Japanese women like soap you up with their bodies. So they're just rubbing against you, and and the filmmaker's like, "I went as part of this." He tries to present it as like he's going in as part of his investigative journalism, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, come on, like just say you went there. You didn't even have to include that at all in your own
Yeah.
documentary.
It really didn't add much to it, to be honest. But overall, I thought it was a very in-depth documentary. It explored a lot of different possibilities of who Q might be. And that I think that was his entire point of the documentary, was try to narrow down to who Q was. And of
So
course,
is
no
this?
fucking QAnon would ever be happy
Are
with
we
it.
talking? Is this the HBO Max one? Is that what we're talking?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I need to watch that.
Into the
Yeah,
Storm.
it's really good. I liked it.
I fell asleep around
Not as
episode 2 a couple times.
it's
I'm
not as
not gonna lie,
exciting as Tiger King.
Oh, naturally. I mean,
Right.
obviously.
and it's true. I don't know if anything has sort of matched the wildfire of Tiger King. Maybe when Avatar: The Last Airbender became popular. We talked about that last episode as well. So we're
We
playing
did.
our greatest hits here.
Real quick, Ashton, best character in Avatar: Last Airbender.
I mean, isn't that kind of fairly obviously Zuko? Like, if we're going just.
Oh, stop!
Okay.
Oh my
All
god!
right, that's a
I
new
mean, he's
take.
not necessarily my favorite, but his character arc was probably the
Let's
most well
see.
fleshed
We want
out,
to hear your
right?
favorite character, the best character.
Oh, well, my favorite character. Dang, I'm probably Toph. I mean, just being honest.
Toph's good.
Okay,
Toph's really
that's
good.
that's a solid choice.
Uncle
Uh,
Iroh's my favorite, obviously.
and I went with Sokka. Okay.
Sokka, respectable, probably up on my top two. Iroh, I love him as like I love Iroh. Don't get me wrong,
Oh
but
boy,
he's
here it
just
comes.
no. He's like one of my favorites. I just meant he's just like it's just one of those things where he's just the mentor character,
Yeah,
and there's just so
that's
like
why
I
he's the
just
best.
I mean
And
that's
he's a bad motherfucker.
oh yeah. I mean obviously.
Yeah, but how about my
Have you
guy?
guys watched Korra?
No, I
Yes,
haven't. I've only watched like the
Oh.
first season.
Oh, you're missing out. Seasons 3 and
you are
4.
missing out.
Season 1's pretty good. Seasons 3 and 4 are great. And season 2 is not very good at all,
No, no,
but
no.
it's there.
It's true. It
But
is there.
season 3 and 4 are some of my favorite Avatar content.
Oh yeah, no
Um,
doubt. I'm one of the few that I actually liked Korra better than Avatar.
Respectable,
It was
honestly.
it's a look. Avatar is a complete show. If you know, there's like how Nickelodeon fucked up Korra.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, once you finish, you'll kind of understand. Because they got renewed pretty much one season at a time,
Yeah, and
so
they had
there's
no
no
idea.
continuous
Well, in
story like there
season
is.
1, right, they were originally thinking they wouldn't even have the full length of season 1 they did. It was originally going to be a mini series.
Mm.
Like there was like not even the full length of season 1, I believe. So like right before production, they expanded it out, which is kind of why I feel like season 1 lost some of its focus. And then season 2 was supposed to be the end, and
Season 2 is not
season 2 was a big
not
misstep
good.
in my opinion.
Did you
They
hear they're coming out with sort of an Avatar? Nickelodeon is sort of coming
like
out with
a
an
whole
Avatar
studio.
studio. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm excited. Well, have you? I don't know if either of you really weed like much for fun, but
Wow.
Wow,
what?
what are you
Look,
trying? Okay, before no, 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 no. What are you trying to say?
not many people really read books, myself included
Okay,
nowadays.
okay.
But no, the two Kyoshi
Hmm.
books, they have like Wise of Kyoshi and Shadow of Kyoshi, like Avatar: The Last Airbender books about Avatar Kyoshi.
No, I
Um,
don't really read so much, Ashton. Okay.
but those are, and they're not comics, right? Like there are plenty of Avatar comics, but these are like full out novellas, and they're pretty good. I really enjoyed them. Like that's
Oh,
some of
you
my
read them?
yeah, that's some of my favorite Avatar content. That's come out honestly.
What
20
what's the bet? Do you think it's good? Then because if there is a studio, right, everyone's got to think they're gonna release Korra's the next Avatar after Korra. Guy Avatar, girl Avatar.
uh I don't know. Maybe Guy. They may just want to flip back and forth.
You
So
think so?
yeah, I kind of hope they don't do the next one after Core though. I'd kind of like to get some prequel content because
Yeah, I would
Mm.
too.
Core was already getting kind of weird with the whole like mech
Yeah.
stuff, and I feel like we're gonna get way too sci-fi in the next
True.
one. That it's just
I mean,
what? 'Cause
sci-fi would be cool too, but I agree with you. I do want backstory.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Like sci-fi would be cool and all, but I kind of feel like it's detracting from the enjoy like what I love about
Yeah.
Avatar because the tech and stuff is just getting so much. Like, just give me good
Right.
bending. Like,
Yeah. Right. And I think with prequels, a backstory
yeah,
that
and
would do really well.
especially because the Kyoshi like prequel books were like
Hmm.
top tier writing and like well not top tier writing but top tier cartoon writing. They were they were much darker than either of the shows like some of it like deaths
Is
and
that right?
everything wise. So it was pretty good.
I mean, in the first show, they literally have genocide in the first
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, but I mean like I mean like actual like on screen like deaths and
Okay.
stuff, not just like hinted at. You can be a lot more graphic in a book, right? I mean, there's no visual for the
Okay.
children to
I just
see.
want to clear my name. I don't know about Joe, but I'm literally reading, okay, the George Washington uh, prize winning novel, okay, by Ron Chernow. Okay, the same guy that was behind Hamilton, the original biography, not the musical. I don't know if he was in it, but that's the book I'm reading. Okay, let me just
Uh,
swing some BDE, right?
I'm reading. I read too.
Okay.
I'm reading Arthas, which is a World of
oh, well, World
Warcraft
of
book.
Warcraft, nice.
Are you
Hey,
into WoW, Ashton? Joe's trying to get me into WoW.
no, have tried WoW two separate times. Both times I was miserable, and I don't see why people play
God
this
damn
game.
it.
But
Ashton,
I will say, like
Oh,
WoW's lore and stuff is so interesting.
it
Like
is.
the
That's why I'm
actual
reading the book.
universe, like it's great. But I don't see how anyone plays WoW. Just give me,
Coming
dude.
from the dude who
Dude,
plays League of Legends.
I don't
oh,
enjoy it.
stop.
I just play it. Dude, I'm in an abusive relationship with League of Legends. Okay, don't act like I want to be there. I
Okay.
quit. I quit playing League for like 8 months, and my friend's like, "Hey, you should play some League." I'm like, I guess, and now I'm playing League again. And
Are you at least playing Teamfight Tactics? Tell me.
no, we're playing
Oh,
wank. We're playing Wanked Q too. So
oh. I'm a master at Teamfight Tactics.
yeah, but
Okay.
see, it's not bad when we do
New
it.
set dropped today, Ashton. If we're gonna date this episode, it came out today. Okay. So you better get on it. You better start playing.
I've played one game of TFT ever, a single game, and I had no idea what was going on.
Same.
But nah, I just play normal league. I play some AWAMs, but we have a 5-man for Wank, so it's kind of fun when you actually have like a full team and don't have to deal with like randoms and you could like troll each
Yeah,
other.
we're trying to get a full team for dungeons, and Billy's stiffing us because we keep getting these fucking pleberonis, and they're like, "Why aren't you tanking? Or why aren't you healing?" And I'm like, "Why are you fucking standing in fire instead of moving the fuck out of it? And why do you keep pulling all these mobs whenever it's the tank's fucking job? You
Yeah,
dumb motherfucker."
so I have like a few of like my friends are really into WoW. My friend
Hmm,
Devin has played like since vanilla, like
Wow.
original, like since he was like 5, because his dad's always been really into it.
Jesus.
So he plays a lot of WoW still. So
I've been worried. I'm apprehensive about WoW because I was really addicted to League maybe in high school, in like my sophomore junior year. I would come home, like play League for like a couple hours, and then like eat dinner, and then play League for a couple more hours, and then finish my homework like in an hour or whatever, and then play more League. So, and I would, or if I wasn't playing League, I was like watching videos about League and like, this is how you play this character. Even though I would do like something completely different. I would just like completely consume everything I could find about League of Legends. So that's my apprehension with World of Warcraft is like, there's people that just go crazy with it. And I'm scared I'm going to be one of those people.
Yeah, I mean that's valid, right? Because WoW's one of those games where if you want to sink your whole life into it, it's
Right.
really easy.
And it's been done, there's memes about it for good reason.
Yeah.
It's not misplaced meming. Okay.
Well, my friend Devin also was. Took his average on WoW. After like, Vanilla WoW came out, right? Like I don't know, like a year ago or so. Vanilla came, like Classic. Sorry, WoW Classic came out, and we took his average after playing it, and he was
Average of what?
averaging like his average play time, like
Oh, okay, okay.
out of 24 hours a day. How much was he playing after like 3 months? And he was averaging like 12 hours a day.
Jesus.
So, and he wasn't even a super hardcore Classic player either, compared to some people in his
Oh
guild.
my god.
Yeah. And like we would make plans, and it would be like he's like, "Oh, I forgot to schedule off for Wade a week ahead of time, so I can't make it." Like it was like a full time job. Like you couldn't just like tell
Yes.
Wade like the day before something. Like you had to put in time like a week out, and like if you took too many Wades off, you lost your positions. Like it was. Ooh.
Joe was telling me that like for the dungeons, it's like 5 people, which I could see myself doing. But joining the big,
Yeah.
what is it,
Like
guilds and raids and stuff,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
seems like that's what's scary.
I mean, honestly, like you just kind of mesh in, and people don't really pay much attention to you in 40-man raids. Uh, in 10-man raids, chances are you're gonna know the motherfuckers. And so, like, if we were to be able to get 10 people to play, then it's just 10 of us trying to go through a raid. And I understand the uh, intimidation of going into a 40-man raid, but also like you're kind of a no one in there, and so as long as
Mm,
you're doing decent damage, no one really gives a shit. It only really matters if you're a tank or a healer.
mm.
But yeah, I don't really run 40-man raids very much. If I'm gonna do 40-man raids, I'd rather just do PvP. And so I just go with a group of people over to try to gank a horde city or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So let's do a hot take real quick.
Yeah, so Ashton, if you don't know, we started with the way and Joe, you're probably gonna cut this, but just for some context, about the record a little bit over an hour, and then we try to end it with like just quick questions. So you have a bit of a warning now. You can start to thinking of a question to ask me and Joe, just like really quick, like hamburgers or hot dogs or something, and then we'll transition to like the outro, which doesn't really come in as anything. It's just Joe will figure it out in the edit in his editing.
Yeah.
Questions are hard, dude. Wait.
So I can.
I got one for
Okay,
you,
yeah,
Ashton.
you go.
It's only for Ashton.
Oh, well, I'm glad to be excluded in my own podcast.
No
It's
problem.
helpful.
All right, Ashton, you ready?
Hmm.
Frank or Anna's milfy mom?
I knew it. I knew this would come up somewhere. Frank. I mean,
Frank.
it's Frank. Why?
I got to go with Anna's milfy mom.
Oh, that's
my
good
God.
though. Why? Because then we're not like overlapping.
You
I
can
mean,
double
Oh, that's
date.
true. We don't have to fight.
yeah. I mean, we
Okay.
could. I mean, we would ask Billy, but it's just gonna be. You're just gonna be guessing, right? I mean.
I don't. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I just need to know more. I can't commit to one
Oh,
or the
okay.
other.
Yeah. that's
Frank's
fair.
got a big schlong,
Is that confirmed?
according to
mean-
Anna.
Oh my God.
One time, Ashton and I were sitting there, and I said, "Okay, Anna, stop me whenever I get to Frank's size." And I
And
put
you
my hands
put your
together
hand-
and I
yeah,
pulled
mhm.
apart. And dude, like, Frank is hung.
I mean, there has to be a reason.
Did you
why.
specify erect or flaccid?
I did not. But either way,
Oh,
goddamn,
Jesus.
it just got to that point where it's just doesn't matter, you know.
What she gave you is probably flaccid after a cold swimming pool. Like,
But anyway, yeah, she also has a really milfy mom. But
agreed.
all right, so Billy, did you have a hot take question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, of the original 3 starter Pokemon, which did you pick first? And now, assuming in your wisdom of old age, would you pick now?
Squirtle
I
and
mean,
Squirtle.
I
Squirtle and
Both.
always
Squirtle?
chose.
I'm always water type.
I'm always fire type.
Charmander. I first picked Charmander, and I think I would stick with Charmander of those 3.
Yeah.
But I kind of go by each generation, maybe at a time.
Yeah, so I see I average water. There's just like a couple generations where I don't. But,
What did you pick in the most recent Sword and Shield?
I mean, honestly, you have to. I feel like you have to pick Grookey in this one,
Oh,
right?
thank you,
Like
thank you. I
the
named mine
like
Badongo. Okay,
mine's
shout out to Mark.
my Grookey was just named Groovy. I was really
Oh my god.
original, but I mean the other two like their first forms were fine, but their final forms were. Ugh.
I
I
can hear Joe
was
typing this, looking at them.
No,
I
I'm
was so
sending a
happy.
message.
I was
Oh,
so
okay.
happy when I saw Sobble. I'm like, this is such a good water starter. And then I see what it evolves into eventually. I'm like, why, God? What did I do to deserve this?
I am not a big fan of the water starters because I always feel like you should. Because I always feel like it's a waste because you have to teach them surf, and
Mhm.
that's that. For me, I always felt your starter should be your strongest guy,
I
just
mean, at
cause.
least Surf was probably the best of the HMs though
That's
to teach
true.
someone.
That's true. And like you always had to teach cut to your grass starter. And I found in most of the games it was hard to find a good fire type. So fire
Yeah,
was always
especially
classic.
Sinnoh. Why your only fire options were Infernape or Ponyta. Like
Yeah,
Gen
for
4,
real.
you had no options.
Oh, but in Gen 4, Turtwig is the best. Okay?
Yeah.
Stop. I understand you can go any way with them, but Turtwig is the best.
Okay.
Of the level of the final evolutions, okay, sure. Empoleon, yeah, that the fucking penguin is badass, but
That metal penguin, like.
All right, we'll wrap it up here then. Big thanks to Ashton for coming on the show. Thanks to Eric and Sammy and Merc and Trey all for giving us feedback. And Billy, thank your friends.
well, no one has contacted me about the most recent episode.
Wow.
So by the
Okay.
time you hear this episode, episode 2, chronologically number 3, in theory, let me know what you think, motherfuckers. Let me hear it.
And then you might get a thank you in the next one.
Yeah, bitches.
Okay.
Ashton,
Thank you. What?
what? Ashton doesn't get a sign off?
Okay. Sign off, Ashton.
Bye.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh,
Bye, guys.
Jesus.
Thanks. I'm glad I was here.
Thank
Don't
you all
ever-
for listening to the Where's My Invite podcast with Billy and Joe, and this time Ashton.
Bye.
Bye.